Hello and welcome back to the Post 20 podcast. My name is Evan. I am joined, as always, by my trusty co host, Matt. What's going on this week?
Took a little vacation last week at work. It wasn't the best, but got a lot of high energy today for the show. Very excited about the show today.
Yeah.
We got a lot of games to touch on. We might brush over a couple that due to no implications in the league table for European spots. There's a few that involve relegation teams being confirmed, but other than that, really excited for the show. And earlier today, we finished a round of golf with me, Evan, and my brother and dad. And
That was
went,
nice.
yeah, it was perfect weather. We couldn't have asked for anything better. The course we were playing at, we're just packing morning groups up one
Yeah.
after another. So for a little while there, we had people right up behind us, but eventually it loosened up. But it was overall today was a really nice day.
It was a fantastic day. I am a big I don't know what I was gonna say, but I get very frustrated if somebody's playing up my ass, and if they call the marshal on me, it really pisses me off because I'm not a slow golfer. I'm a fast golfer. I mean, compared to some of the fucking slow bastards that I get stuck behind out there, I am lightning quick. If I'm playing alone, I can be done if I got nobody ahead of me. Even if there is somebody ahead of me, I can finish 18 in an hour and a half or 2 hours. I'm a quick, very fast golfer, and when I have to call the marshal, I mean I do it begrudgingly because I hate rushing people. But the marshal will tell me they're playing as fast as they can. But when the marshal gets called on me, which is extraordinarily rare, they come out and say, "Oh, can you pick up the pace?" Dog, I can't pick up the pace. We can't pick up the pace. We're in a foursome. We're each taking a practice swing, maybe two practice swings if we don't like our lie. That's it. I mean, come on, dude. How much faster are we gonna play? There was three women behind us, old women. I'm sure they were members. Um, just such a fucking pain in the ass, and they rattled us a little bit. I think at the beginning, that hole where he popped up, I was in the water. Like, as soon as I saw that marshal, see ya, everything goes out of my head. I mean, I was probably only like three or four over, but at that point, and then I had a really tough stretch of holes because it was women. But we figured it out. We had a great time. It was a nice post 20 bonding experience or something like that. Team building exercise.
It was great. It was a great day off work, just to
Yeah.
chill out, hang out with the boys, and hit some clubs. The only thing we were missing was the beer.
Yeah, true. It was a little early. We went out. We started at 9:20, so it was a
Yeah,
touch early for beers. But
yeah. I would have been screwed, dude. I had nothing but two Pop Tarts in the tank.
yeah, you would have been hammered after three or four because you don't really drink that much anymore, right?
I can't say that now. Like the last week, I went out like 3, 4 nights. Not like crazy. I like
Yeah,
drank 6, 7 beers, but like I can handle a little bit. I'm just talking when I explain like to people like I can't drink like an absolute freshman in college, like just slamming beer after beer after beer, like in an hour drinking like 12 to 16.
yeah,
Like I can't do that anymore. Like I can handle 5, 6 beers throughout the night, like
yeah.
in intervals. I'm not like slamming them down like how people nowadays do. They'll get like the White Claws, they'll shotgun those, or like they'll
Oh,
just slam shots or whatever. Like I can't do that. I just chill out with the beer. I'm just like the old school guy.
yeah,
Bottle of beer is good for me.
yeah,
Nothing special.
yeah. I don't even know what a alcoholic beverage would do to me now. I mean, I think I don't think I've had booze in like. I mean, I got to be coming up on like 3 or 4 months now. I haven't really had anything, so I wonder what it would
It
do.
it shows you take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's just like it's tough to kind of commit myself to going out and drinking and stuff like that. Although it's fine. I mean, it's fine depending on what you'd like to do. But the next morning I got to get up at 6 and go work out. Like it's just not
Yeah,
those two things don't they don't pair nicely. You know,
yeah.
your workout's going to be shit if you're hungover. Or you're not even going to go. So I just kind of stay away from it. Who knows? It's not like I didn't stop because I had a problem, which I think some people do. But I just stopped because I was like, it's not really gonna do it for me. Like it's not gonna improve my life whatsoever. So I just cut it out. But we'll move on. We'll move on to the actual topic of the podcast, which is of course the Premier League. That's the topic of the podcast until the Premier League ends, and then Matt and I are kind of shit out of luck. We're gonna figure out what we're gonna switch things to. But there's plenty of other sports and world news that we'll move ourselves back to. This game, Leeds United versus Tottenham, does have some European implication, I believe, because Tottenham are kind of vying for a Europa League spot at this point, not going to get themselves into the Champions League. They've fallen out of contention for the Champions League after that year where they made the final against Liverpool. So kind of really bizarre, but Leeds managed to upset Tottenham. Tottenham were the odds-on favorites heading into the game. Stuart Dallas, Patrick Bamford, and Rodrigo, the goal scorers for Leeds, the usual suspects, of course, with the exception of Rodrigo, who hasn't gotten a ton of time this year after his transfer. But Son Heung-min was the scorer for Tottenham in the 25th. That was one that drew them level with Leeds. But Leeds ultimately much stronger, better performance, more solid. Tottenham playing with a interim manager still, so I'm sure they're more focused on setting themselves up next season instead of figuring out where they're going to be this season. What do you think about this game? Because I think Tottenham looked really bad.
Yeah, it just showed they were just lacking that motivation in this game. I was surprised that Dele Alli got to start here. I guess Ryan Mason's loosening up with him, giving him some minutes. I didn't realize that he grew his hair out that long.
Yeah.
He looks completely different now to where his short hair. But yeah, it was just not very motivated. I mean, he's kind of found his back line there. Reguilon had a big mistake that led to a goal for Leeds. And I mean, they didn't ever look back. I mean, now I looked at the stats here and then I scrolled over and this stat came up and I didn't even realize that Leeds did this. It said Leeds became the first side to remain unbeaten at home in the Prem against each of Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, United, and Spurs in
Wow.
a single season. So they never lost to the top six this year at home, which is crazy. So that just shows Bielsa and his tactics and how the team believes in their manager and what they can do. And I think it'll be very interesting once they get a big influx of money into their transfer budget. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to what they can do. Their season's pretty much wrapped up. They can't really do much more than what they're doing now. They're going to have to win out if they want to get into like that 8th, 7th. But it's looking very unlikely with Arsenal picking up a solid win over Chelsea. So for Spurs, though, this is very bad timing for them to drop points. They do still have 3 games left compared to some other teams above them, but it's not looking very good for them. And I think it's a bad time for Ryan Mason to take over the club at such a critical time in the season.
Yeah. Something I'm going to head back to Leeds quick to talk about this. Something worth noting about Leeds, I think, is that towards the end of the season, especially towards the end, but also towards that middle point, they have struck the balance, I think, between the counterattacking and buccaneering offense and solid defense. I don't want to say that their defense is solid now, but it does seem to be much more sturdy than it was in those early weeks, early mid-weeks as well, when they were letting up a lot of goals. And I think that's really important. I will be curious to see if this Leeds season was more of a novelty, but we're going to have to wait till next season to see that, obviously. I don't think teams have figured them out still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know there's not. I know that Ryan Mason's not like a tactician or anything like that. He's an interim manager, of course. But they're dynamic, and depending on who they go up against, I mean, they always kind of seem to be in the game, even if they're not winning or even drawing. There's never a game that I watch Leeds and say they're not in it. They have a grit that I think a lot of teams, even teams in the top 6, including Tottenham and Arsenal to a degree, that they don't have that grit. So I think that's really important, and they're my team to watch for next season. I think they could break into the top 6.
Yeah, and I'm looking here now, and they rank fourth in possession this season at 55% in the
Mhm.
whole league, only behind City, Liverpool, and Chelsea, which makes sense. So they're a side that loves controlling the ball. Surprisingly, even though you're talking about their counterattack style, that just shows how dynamic they are
Mhm.
as a club. So yeah, like you said, I'm really looking forward to what they can do in the summertime, transfer wise, and then also when it comes to the games.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next game that has European um what's the word? Not complications,
Implications.
implications. I was going to say complications. We have Manchester City and Chelsea. Oh, quickly, by the way, the other game that happened on May 8th, there's two other games, but the shitty one was Sheffield United 0, Crystal Palace 2. That doesn't matter. Sheffield's going down. They've been going down. And Palace, mid-table, kind of, irrelevancy. But back
Yeah.
to City and Chelsea. This was a fantastic game. It was very entertaining to watch. Right before the stroke of halftime, Raheem Sterling put City ahead. The halftime whistle blew. Teams came out. It was kind of just steady until the 63rd when Hakeem Ziyech, who I thought at one point would be an outcast, managed to get one back for Chelsea in the 63rd. It wasn't until the 92nd minute stoppage time when Marcos Alonso scored one to seal 3 points for Chelsea. An important 3 points because they would go on to lose to a team that they are much better than in Arsenal. What do you have to say about this game? Because I was thoroughly entertained.
I thought it was crazy that you left out the failed Panenka by Aguero
I
before the
forgot about
halftime
that.
whistle. That was one of the ballsiest things he's done. That's probably the last penalty he'll ever take for the club. And it was terrible. Mendy read it so well. Mendy, signing of the season, I would say for Chelsea. He's up there right now, top two at least at the club, let alone the league. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a well-rounded game. The boys really held down in the back. There was some cases where one of the outside center backs would stay close to a winger, and then the space would open behind. So very, very key one-on-one duels won in the back line. I think this was the match that Christensen pulled up at halftime. He had a bit of a hamstring issue, which led to the Zuma penalty that wasn't given. Or no, that was later on. But Zuma did come in, and that penalty late in the second half, I think 88th minute, that wasn't given, that should have been given, I would say, in my opinion, even though I'm glad Chelsea won. I think that should have been a penalty. Crazy to think VAR didn't overturn the ref's decision. But the momentum carried, and Alonso did score the winner, and it was very good. I mean, that's the last two times we played City now have been wins. Controversially, you could say for some of those moments, but a win is a win at the end of the day. And I think we can carry that motivation onto the Champions League final against them. So
Yeah.
overall, I thought it was a great performance. Werner did well. Did Havertz get in this game? No, he didn't.
No, I didn't
Uh,
play.
yeah, Pulisic had a few moments, but overall, I thought it was a great. I was really happy with Billy Gilmore in there
He's
too. I
he's
think,
great, man. He's really young too.
yeah, I was surprised he got the start in such a huge match against one of the best sides in Europe right now. So that's great experience for him. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this Saturday in the FA Cup final against Leicester.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. We were talking about that this morning on like the fifth tee. I think that could be a really fun watch. So I'm looking forward to that as well. The missed Panenka, I think, is kind of what like sealed that game for Chelsea. The tide switched. When you have a player that does that because he's so confident in himself, I
Yeah,
think the rest of the team gets pissed off. Like
yeah, it kind of
give
felt
yourself a decent
disrespectful.
shot. Like don't handicap yourself. It is that's what it is, right? It's disrespect. So if you just take a regular old penalty, I'd say your chances of it going in are higher. I don't know why even being up 1-0. 1-0, that's the most dangerous score in the game. Come on, that's not enough. If you're gonna do a Panenka, you're up 3-0. All right, fine. I can hear it. But even then it's disrespectful. When you do that, I just think that you lose so much. Like you're losing your team, especially if you miss it. I don't care how long Aguero's been there. He's been out this season. He hasn't played much. He's not their guy. So I just think he probably lost some of the dressing room after that happened. And That's not to say that Chelsea didn't play fantastic. I mean, it was a really good result for them. So good luck for Chelsea. Moving on, we have Liverpool versus Southampton. Liverpool managed to win 2-0. I was a little bit unsure of this game, but I did end up taking Liverpool. So Mane actually got himself on the score sheet after quite a drought. Not a lot of goals for Mane this season. He's become more of a passing player, so it was good to see him, get on the score sheet. And then Thiago added another one in the 90th to make sure that there was no chance of Southampton taking any of those precious points. Liverpool looked sharp in this game, at least sharp when you compare it to what they played like in some of their other fixtures, most of their other fixtures this season. Southampton, not getting battered, but just not really a great performance. Not a lot of scoring here, so I don't have much else to say about that one. It's good for Liverpool to be winning these games towards the end of the season. They want to make sure that they're at least in some sort of European position.
Yeah, I mean they have the most games left out of any team right now. They still have 4 matches, including the match today against United, the rescheduled one due to the protests and that. I did see there were some protesters again, but they actually have police ready there. They're not off guard anymore, so that's good to see. So I think the match will be carried out today. But yeah, I think Liverpool will have the best shot to make a push into the top 4 out of any club outside of the top 4 currently. They have 2 games in hand on Chelsea, who are in that 4th position currently. So if they can win their 2 in hand, they'll only be 1 behind us. And you never know in the Premier League. Some of these games, things happen. VAR is always a thing that can mess you up. But yeah, I think Liverpool, this is a big win for them. Carry on into the match today. Yeah, like you said, I think it's desperate for Klopp to get into one of those spots, because if they don't, they won't have any European competition, and that's what attracts those big star players, and they're not going to have that pull if they don't finish in there. So today is a very crucial match against their arch rivals, so I'm really interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I will also be interested to see how all that pans out. It'll be really I don't really know what to expect, to be honest with you, so I'll be really curious. I think I picked United. I'm pretty sure I picked United because the game.
You picked United. I went with Liverpool.
Okay, yeah. So we'll have to see. Your dad said he'll be watching, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, moving on, we have Wolves 2, Brighton 1. This game has absolutely no bearing on the state of the table. Both of those teams, Wolves kind of towards like the bottom of the mid-table, and then Brighton are right above the drop zone. It looks like they'll be staying up. I think they have secured their safety, right?
Yep. Everybody above the relegation zone is in the clear, so nobody has anything to worry about these last few matches.
Yep. So now it's just time to kind of try out who you have, see if you can get anything going momentum-wise for the beginning of next season. I always like to see the younger players. They usually get in some of these fixtures. So it'll be really cool to see. I don't know if Brighton really has a ton of young players, but some of the academy guys usually break in for the bigger clubs. But yeah, that was a 2-1 win for Wolves, who I think I picked. Moving on, we have Aston Villa 1, Manchester United 3. Villa did get themselves a red card. That was late on in the game, but I wanted to mention that. Bertrand Traore was the first scorer in this game, managed to get himself one in the 24th, and then an absolute masterclass by Manchester United, who have just become fantastic at coming from behind and securing wins. Bruno Fernandes with a penalty in the 52nd, his bread and butter. Greenwood in the 56th, and then Edinson Cavani, who is in absolute lightning form right now, got himself one in the 87th. Manchester United were the dominant team, dominated both possession and chances. 7 shots on target to Villa's 5, 18 shots to Villa's 11. There was a couple, that wasn't this game, that was a different game. There was a couple really solid chances for Villa. They just couldn't convert, and then that second half onslaught by Manchester United, I just don't know how you can stop a team that is that dedicated to coming back in the second half. They've done this time and time again this season. We've been seeing it from that midway point on. They have done it in Europe. They have done it in the Premier League. I mean, these guys, they don't quit, and that's a really, really, really important, like, I don't want to say feature, I don't know, ability, right? It's very important for a top 6 club or top 4 club, whatever you want to call them. They are in the top 4 now. To be able to do that and constantly come back against teams that, of course, they shouldn't be losing to in the first place, but also teams that have bested them in the first half. So I think that's, really telling of what they have in store for them next season. United, I think, are going to be a serious contender. This helps to cement their Champions League spot as well. So it's a good win for United and unfortunate for Villa.
Yeah, I'd like to say that Mason Greenwood, I would say, is probably the most informed player currently in the league, including the game we'll recap in a little bit. The Leicester game, he scored 6 goals in 6 games, which is nutty. I wouldn't be surprised if he scores today, makes it 7-7. I thought early on, like carrying over from the previous season, because this time last year he was doing the same exact thing he was doing now, and it died off. And now we're in the spring, early summer period, and he's starting to pick it up again. I don't think he'll make the Euro squad by any means, but
No.
not even close compared to the talent England has. They're the odds-on favorite currently, I think, of them in France right now. But yeah, United's got great character built into their squad and can learn how to come back in that. They just have to deal with a few transfers that need to solidify some key positions, and they also have to deal with some injuries and whatnot. I'll be interested to see what they do with De Gea in the summer, because Dean Henderson's kind of slowly sliding into that new starting role, and De Gea might have to find a new club somewhere. I don't know where he'd go, because he's been at United for, I think, 9 years now, 8-9 years.
Back to Spain, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't know. He might go there, which would make sense, or maybe he'll try out a different country. But yeah, I mean, United looks solid. They look very solid, and Harry Maguire's out after he got injured in the Leicester game, so they openly said he's out the rest of the Prem season. They're resting him for the Europa League final, which makes sense. That's what they need to play for.
Yeah.
To win some sort of silverware this year.
Yeah, I think that they have probably the best chance of winning it. I don't see, although Valencia are a solid side, I don't see them beating this United team, especially not with all their players in form right now. They kind of squeaked by against Arsenal, who are a much worse team than United. So
yeah,
interesting. But moving on, we have West Ham nil, Everton 1. West Ham vying for a Champions League spot. Ooh, they were, especially before this game. They were trying so hard. They would have had 61 points instead of the 58 that they have now, which would have put them only 3 points behind Chelsea, who did just drop points to Arsenal. So there was, there was a chance within these last few weeks that there could be a swing, right? That West Ham could manage to get themselves into 4th and secure the spot, but they should. I mean, one of the so here's how it works, I think, right? You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. If Chelsea or City, because it's going to be one of them, right, win the Champions League, they gain automatic entry to the next Champions League. We know that.
Yep.
But does the 5th place team then get entry because those are the 4 Prem teams that gain qualification, right? Or no?
Yeah, I think the 4th position, it enters a playoff system or a qualifier match to get in. And I would say if Chelsea finish in 4th, but also win the Champions League, then definitely 5th would take that playoff position, and the Europa League position would move down as well.
Right.
I don't know if that's the same thing in the FA Cup as well. I don't know if the FA Cup has anything to do with European qualification either, whether that's the Europa League or the Champions League, but I definitely do think that no matter what, 5th place is going to most likely be in the Champions League spot. So I think that's good news for all those teams from 5th to 9th, including Arsenal, because West Ham's on 58, Arsenal's on 55, so it's up for grabs, that 5th position.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. I mean, it's kind of tight there, right? Between West Ham, Tottenham, Everton, and Arsenal. Tottenham with 56, as well as Everton 56, and then you have West Ham and Liverpool both on 58, and then Arsenal on 55.
Yeah.
So it would be not. I'm happy with just Arsenal qualifying for Europa. I mean, if they could somehow get this crazy point swing and qualify for the Champions League, or at least Champions League playoff spot, I mean that would be fantastic. I don't know if I see that happening. But that's actually an interesting thing to pay attention to and see how that pans out. I'm glad that we talked about that, because I was talking about it with somebody else this week, and we weren't exactly sure. We couldn't find a direct answer about how placements work if one of your teams win the CL. And obviously it's going to be one of the teams, right? It's Chelsea and City. They're both Premier League teams. So that's good. That's a good thing.
Same thing goes for if United wins the Europa League, because that's then an automatic qualification for the Champions League.
Right, exactly. So I mean,
so you might even see 6 teams in England qualify for England or for Champions League.
yeah, that's true.
So the top 8 even might make European football.
Wow, that could be really interesting then.
So everybody might win, but one team.
Right. Oh man, maybe Arsenal will. Maybe Arsenal will get themselves into a Champions League spot. I hope they will.
Gotta root for United then.
Oh, I am. I'm gonna bet heavily on them to win against Valencia. Okay, moving on. We have. Oh no, did we talk about West Ham Everton or no? No.
Not really. It was. I mean, you touched on it to open, and then you went on the tangent. But
Yeah.
West Ham didn't even register a shot on target in this
No,
game.
it was terrible.
But they dominated possession. Lingard's form's kind of dried out a bit now. It's tough. It's tough to carry on that form like other players in the past have done. So for an extended period of time. But Everton's kind of a rugged team that is dealing with a few injuries here and there. But Allen's been back, and he's been an absolute fiend in the middle, just cleaning things up, giving them possession in key positions. But yeah, it was a boring game. Everton did nick it with a DCL goal. Not much else to really add. I mean, it's very poor from West Ham right now. They're pulling a Leicester from last season, just slipping at the wrong time.
Choking.
And I mean, Liverpool's in prime position right behind them, 2 games in hand to really just take advantage of it. So I'd be really upset to see West Ham lose this opportunity that rarely comes around.
Yeah, I would be too. I'm hoping to see them in European competition. It'd be really nice to see them in the Champions League. That'd be sick.
Quick update: Man United just scored 1-0. Bruno Fernandes.
Not a penalty?
I do not. It doesn't say, but I bet on him to score. I just need 9 corners now for 50.
Oh, that's big. What'd you bet? 10? 5?
Yeah, I put 10 on it. I was
That's
just messing around. It's Bruno and over 9 corners.
Yeah, all right. Moving on, this game could have European implications. Arsenal 3, West Brom 1. Emile Smith-Rowe got his first Premier League goal for Arsenal after registering many assists and putting in many good shifts. He scored in the 29th. Pepe scored in the 35th. And then West Brom managed to get one back. I was a little bit afraid at this point, thinking, oh my God, are we going to choke this? Thankfully, we managed to keep it together, and Willian scored his first goal in an Arsenal shirt. God, he is so old, but what an absolute banger of a free kick. He is a free kick merchant. I've been saying that for years.
Yep.
But it was nice. It was good to see him score. I don't know if he'll be retained by Arsenal or if he'll be moving on. I think he'll probably be moving on, and that's fine by me. I think he could actually give service to either a smaller club in England or a club overseas, perhaps in Spain, or even France. I think Willian's got gas left in the tank. I just don't think he can cut it. He's just not making it into this Arsenal team.
Yeah, and Mikel Arteta did come out in an interview pre-match conference openly saying that he believes some of those players haven't given their all this season. Mm-hmm. And I do believe Willian's one of those players that they brought him in on a free, but they pay him such a high wage that warrants much needed performances out of him. So he hasn't been living up to the mark, and there's a few other players in there as well. And also you guys have been dealing with injury issues. I know Tierney didn't make his return in the Chelsea game, which showed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you guys are showing up and you're seeing the young players in the squad shine. They're the guys that are young. Some would say naive, but they're just giving their all every single game when their name's on that sheet. They are just going out there and balling out the hardest they can and not worrying about anything past that game. And Smith Rowe had a nice little goal. Saka created a great opening on the wing. And then you had Pepe score an absolute scorcher in the top corner.
Yeah.
So it's good to see these key players score. I mean, Pepe's your transfer record, right? I think you guys got him for like 60, 70 mil.
Yes, he
Mhm.
is the highest, 64, I think it was.
Which sometimes I forget about it because he has forgettable performances for a guy that's been purchased at that value. So, I mean, Arsenal are in great form right now. Three straight wins in the league, keeping or I should say they're scoring a lot of goals in these matches as well. So, great signs heading into the last 2 weeks for him.
Yeah, really nice to see things looking up for Pepe. He's had a pretty solid like end second half of the season. I think he's been playing more towards what I would expect from him. So that's really nice to see. And I'm just hoping everybody stays healthy and that next season's much better. ESR, great, really, really solid. Keeps putting in awesome shifts. So it was good. He scored again in the next match. So
Yeah,
that was great too.
and then this match resulted in West Brom getting relegated and Big Sam for the first time in his career getting relegated.
Yeah, pain. First time in his career. That's insane. He did say he was interested in sticking with the team. Did you see that?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean that team and what they're structured as is kind of a Big Sam comparison. I think they gel well together. I'm not used to seeing player like I don't see Mateus Pereira sticking around there. There's no way he'll end up staying in the championship next season. He is definitely Premier League quality, if not uh, European quality. So interesting to see who they keep. I'm sure they'll have to sell a few to keep their budget in under check. But yeah, I think Big Sam fits the West Brom style.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Hopefully he sticks with them and maybe they'll come back up. Although I hate West Brom, so whatever, fuck them.
Somebody might call him up in January. You know, somebody gets sacked by Christmas.
Yeah, that is always what happens. Christmas Day sack. Fulham nil, Burnley 2 is the next one. Burnley further cementing themselves into safety, and Fulham actually guaranteeing themselves going down. It was a sad scene. Very sad.
It's incredible because when we watched that game live together on the
The
stream when they
Liverpool
played
one?
Liverpool, we thought they played exceptional. They did great, and ever since that match, they have just crumbled.
I know. We
It's
cursed them. I think
it's
we cursed them.
absolutely it's not their style that's changed. Like they play great style of football and like they have good guys come off the bench. It's just they do not have anybody that can finish in
No
front of the net.
finishing. I know. That is truly
That has
what the
been their
issue is.
downfall all season. Not even talking about the last couple matches, just all season. I mean, they have the second lowest goals for amount right in front of Sheffield at 25. So
Yeah.
when West Brom is scoring more goals than you have a major problem.
Yeah, I agree. And they were, even those games that they looked good in, we thought they played exceptional. They were scraping. They were scraping by. And I think we overlooked the fact that they couldn't put more than one or two in per game. And that is ultimately their undoing. I don't think that their defense, did a great job of bailing them out in those games where they couldn't finish. But I don't think you can put all the blame on the defense, and usually it is that's who you blame, right? When a team goes down, you say, "Oh, it was the defense," but Fulham just couldn't score. I mean, that's the tale of their season. Very unfortunate too, because I just think they have so much talent. And I think that they just, I don't know, they felt like sometimes when I watched them, I was like, they're good, they're all right, they're gonna stay up, and they just had a really terrible last like 10 match weeks.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure that Scott Parker is going to stay with the club, and
I hope so.
I think they're strong contenders to bounce back after one quick season. So
Yep.
yeah, and I mean they should because they're going to have a swimming pool in their stadium.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
Alrighty, moving on. This was match day 32, a rescheduled match between Southampton and Crystal Palace. This went off on May 11th. Southampton won 3-1. Danny Ings with a brace, Che Adams in the 48th. Benteke was the one that opened the scoring in this game, though. Palace went ahead, but Southampton rallied back. A good performance after losing 2-0 to Liverpool. Nice bounce back. Good to see the Southampton can get a couple shots in when they need to. But not really much implication as far as the table goes. Things are kind of just settled around in those areas. So we'll move on to some two more important matches. Manchester United 1, Leicester City 2. Leicester City stopping the tailspin that they were in. Manchester United actually did once again come from behind to level it, but this time Kaglar Soyuncu, however you say his name, I've heard it both ways, actually sealed a win for Leicester. So they stopped that tailspin. United taking a little bit of a hit in the league. Not a ton of shots on target from United. This was kind of an uncharacteristic day from them. They definitely didn't look like they were at their best. So Liverpool, Leicester City rather, nice to see them bouncing back a little bit because they were sliding pretty brutally. But I don't have a ton to say about this. The two teams didn't swap spots in the table, right? No, because
Everybody held up in the same spots.
Yeah.
Leicester just moved back ahead of Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
In the third, they switched spots again. But Man United sold this game. They gave Leicester the game as soon as the lineups came out because it's not Ali's fault or any of those guys. Like with the match scheduling, I think United got absolutely shafted by their own fans due to the protesting because the Liverpool game being rescheduled to today was put in between this match and their match on the weekend. So they had to play 4 games in 7 days, which is absolutely unheard of and is unjust to the players and the staff because that gives you no time to prepare for your opposition whatsoever. 1 to 2 days max. But yeah, I mean, they had to rest players for the current match against Liverpool. And you had, I think, 7 or 8 changes in this team, maybe even more. You had guys like Juan Mata starting. You had Brandon Williams get in there. De Gea got a rotation in. Some youngsters. I think this was Diallo's debut start since joining from Atalanta.
Yeah.
He got an assist to Greenwood. He was their striker for the game. But I thought they played pretty well for going up against an almost full strength Leicester team. Only missing Barnes and James Maddison came off the bench. So you could say they did well, but yeah, Leicester should have won this game. And I got bait. I'm more upset because I got baited into a boost for United to win and then over 2.5. Got baited into that. And as soon as I saw the lineups, I was like, well, I'm fucked right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's a huge motivation boost for Leicester because they were on the downturn with a draw and a loss going into this match, and a win here is huge for them because, like I said, they play Chelsea in the FA Cup final this weekend. Very key for them to win some silverware for the club because I don't think they've won any silverware since the Prem 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice to see for their club, but I'd like to see my club win it though. So
yeah, we'll have to see about that. But let's move ourselves on. Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1. Your club, I mean, down bad. Down bad.
This game was so chalked, man.
Chelsea should have won this one, buddy.
The first 10 to 15 minutes I thought was pretty fair. I think we handled our business.
For sure.
And then Kai Havertz, 9 minutes in, your boy Pablo Mari in the back gets absolutely caught with his hand in his pants.
He sucks, dude. He sucks.
Havertz on the cleanest breakaway I've ever seen this season for any team. He fucking skies it over a planted Leno. I was like, just all he had to do was just touch it by him, and he was in. Just do a signature Fernando Torres around the goalie, but he fucking skies it. And then 5 minutes later, my man Jorginho, who I've had terrible feelings for this whole season.
Yeah,
there are times where I'm like, okay, he's doing all right, but overall, I just do not like him. He absolutely just passes it to Kepa, who's nowhere in the goal, and he has to make a diving save, and then it's absolute butt fuckery. And Smith Rowe and Aubameyang countered on it perfectly, and they got the nice goal. And then from there, the tactic was fucked because Arsenal were just packing it in. Really, I
Yeah.
mean that's all they had to do. They had Parts A and El Neni just chilling in front of the center back pairing, and it was almost impossible to break through. We needed something. We needed something to break for us, and it never came. We had great opportunities, but Arsenal did a very nice job to secure all 3 points, which I think they needed more than we did
Yeah. Huh, that's
because
fair.
we are looking. Our remaining schedule is looking favorable for us. So regardless if we win the Champions League or not, I think it's fair to say we will get a Champions League position next season. I think it's safe to say that.
Yeah.
But for Arsenal's sake, I would say congratulations to them. They're in good form. Aubameyang got in this game, who has kind of been lacking it. I think he's been having like some late fees to pay because he's showing up to games late and
Yeah.
behavior issues. So I think from him being the captain, he needs to lead by example. We did touch on earlier that the young players of the club are stepping up in Saka and Smith Rowe and Martinelli. So I think he needs to show a better character and be a better leader for those guys to follow in the future.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see how everything kind of pans out next season. I don't know. I mean, I know Aubameyang just signed his contract and everything, but I have a strange feeling that he's not going to be here as long as he thought he was.
No.
Especially if they pick, if they opt to stay with Arteta over Aubameyang, because I think those two kind of butt heads. Um, we saw earlier this season. I think that was the North London derby where that happened. Where he was late, didn't show up. So we'll have to see. I'll be really curious about that. But yeah, great win. I was really happy to see it. Obviously, another one for Smith Rowe. He's been really good. I think he's a grinder. We're talking about, we love a grinder, and I think Smith Rowe is a grinder. And I really like the way he looks. At pairing, Odegaard and Smith Rowe is actually really solid. They're kind of similar players. I think Smith Rowe is a little bit more committed to winning the ball than Odegaard is. I think Odegaard's been a little spoiled. He doesn't necessarily have those same work rates, but I think he's more talented with the ball at his feet than Smith Rowe is. So we'll have to see. I'm really curious to see if we buy Odegaard or if he just goes back and dips. But I think he's shown some really promising performances to us too. So we'll have to see. This was a great team, by the way, that Arsenal put out. I like this.
Yeah, I think they might extend him another year on the loan. What they did with Ceballos this last season, I think they
Yeah.
might go with an extra year on that. And I feel like they really need to shore up their fullback positioning because, I mean, we did see the last few matches, Xhaka had to play left back. So you never want to see somebody drastically play out of position like that.
Yeah.
There have been sometimes where Rob Holding's out there, and you don't want to see him out there with his pace.
He is just so slow. He's like Mertzacker light. He's so slow.
Yeah, because there's talks about Bellerin being replaced, and I think we've mentioned Max Aarons from Norwich coming back into the Prem. He might be a good signing. We've
Yeah.
talked about Lamptey out there.
Mhm.
Maybe he's better as a wing back role if Arsenal want to go to a 3-back formation.
Oh,
He
imagine.
played perfect in there. I don't know if Arsenal will ever do that. They're going to need serious depth at center back if they want to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have this strong midfield. They like their two holding mids in front, which would not work in a 3-back formation because you need somebody holding there and somebody pushing forward into a more box to box attacking role. So I don't know. It'll do. It's all up to the squad depth and what the current manager sees envisions for the club. He's openly said that there's only so much he can coach into them, and he's just paraphrasing that he needs money. He needs an influx of money to go into the transfer budget or to the transfer market. So
That's true.
and that's all going to depend on where they finish in the league. If they don't finish in a European spot, it's going to be tougher for him to lure in guys or potentially even negotiating contracts because if the players don't see a future at the club in Europe, then they're not going to put pen to paper for long-term deals.
Yeah, and it looks like right now Arsenal are the leading candidate to sign Camavinga, the French national. A lot of looks at him. I'd be really, really thrilled to see him come in and play for Arsenal. But that's going to be
Arsenal loves a good Frenchman.
We do. Always have. I think he's going to be very expensive, but that would be a great move, especially if we can get him in young. Our best players ever, I'd say, are French. If you look at If you look at Perez and you look at Henry, who are probably my two favorites.
Vieira.
Vieira was also French. Yeah, so we'll have to see. That'll be really, really interesting. If we can get Camavinga, I'll be chuffed. All right. Moving on. We had a game today. Aston Villa, Everton. I think I picked Villa. Game ended in a draw. Not a ton of implications for Europe. Obviously, you have Everton in the 8th spot now. They stay level on 56 points. Nothing's changing. Aston Villa still in 11th. That game I didn't watch, but it appears to have been boring. There was quite a few shots, not a ton of shots on target, and it looks like, by what I'm seeing in the stats, that Villa controlled the possession.
Sorry, I was phased out. I was looking at when we were talking about the European qualifications. I was trying to solidify what that was. It's saying that if the FA Cup winners finish in the top 5 of the Prem, their UEL group stage place will go to the next highest ranked team not qualified for the UEFA competitions in the Premier League.
So there you go. Yeah.
So Leicester and Chelsea right now are in the top 5. So whoever wins that match, the next team down will make it. So it's definitely going to look like a minimum of 7 English teams will be in European competition next year.
Yep. Wow. That's insane. A minimum of 7? That's nuts. Wow. All right. Well, that is very interesting.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, that Villa game that finished like an hour ago was pretty boring, 0-0. Not many chances. Jack Grealish did get a 15 to 20 minute span in there for his first appearance in a long time, trying to get his legs wrapped up and get match fit for the rest of the season if Dean Smith sees fit, or if just to get him ready for the Euros. So that's great to see him back in there because a lot of people have them in their starting 11 for the England squad.
Yeah. All right. Pardon me, I'm yawning. I'm very tired. I did a lot of physical activity today. Going on right now is the Manchester United versus Liverpool match. I picked United. There was just a very strange VAR thing. Liverpool were awarded a penalty, and then it went to VAR, and it was overturned. So drop balls taking place. Manchester United looking good as of the 31st minute in which they are playing now. I think they're going to stick through and win. So we'll have to see. We'll talk about that next week. But yeah, not really much else to say in terms of recap. We can move on to pre-cap or whatever you want to call it. Preview. Pre-cap. I don't know. The next match that we have to look forward to takes place tomorrow at 3 p.m. Newcastle take on Manchester City. I believe this game is at St. James Park. So a home game for Newcastle. I don't necessarily think that means anything. Newcastle are shit. They're staying up, but they're shit. I think City win this one.
Yeah, City on the road are the best in the league. They've only given up 9 goals away from home compared to them at home. They've given up almost double at 17. I mean, City have already locked up the lead. So if Pep sees that he doesn't need to play players, he might not, because we have seen they heavily rotate teams this season and they still do very well. Whereas Newcastle, I would say, are in pretty decent form compared to where they were 7-8 weeks ago when we were talking about them. I mean, I openly said, I'll admit, that they were going to get relegated, and they proved me wrong with the play of Joe Willock. Absolutely clutch. I think he's got 4 in his last 4. He could score here and make it 5, which would be awesome. But I'm sure as soon as he goes back to Arsenal, he'll go back to being non-existent and not getting any play from Arteta. But yeah, I'm going to go with the City win here. Like you said last week, it's pretty hard to bet against City at all, so I'm gonna go with the Man City win.
Okay, interesting. That's good. We're both on that, or not interesting really, but we're both on City. That's good. Moving on, we have Burnley versus Leeds. I am with Leeds, especially after that good performance versus Tottenham. I think that they continue.
This is a tough one. I don't really know. Chris Wood's been popping off lately for Burnley, and Burnley as a team have been scoring a decent amount the past couple weeks. So it's hard because there's one week where Leeds are popping off, the next week they're falling off, and it's a lot very, very, very inconsistent against the small clubs. They do well against the big clubs, I'll say that. But when it comes to teams around their level in the audience's minds, it's very tough. But I'm gonna go with the draw here. I'm gonna
Okay.
take a chance. I'm gonna go with the draw. I mean, my picks literally mean nothing now because I always go like 3-9 every week, but. Just to change it up, I'm going to go with a draw.
Alrighty. Moving on, we have Southampton and Fulham. Fulham not playing for anything, so I think Southampton win. I could actually see this game being kind of hairy and weird. These games are always kind of hard to pick because you have really just the teams aren't playing for anything. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick to my guns. My gut's telling me Southampton. That's what I'm picking.
Now that Fulham know they're relegated, there's no pressure on them, so I'm gonna pick Fulham to win here. I think that'll be funny. Just for Scott Parker's sake as a manager, I think these are moments that they're gonna cherish and try to remember for the next season in the championship. They're gonna try to remember this feeling of Premier League football and enjoying play together as a team. So I'm gonna go with a Fulham win here.
All right, that's fair enough. I can see that. Um, Next one, Brighton and West Ham. West Ham, this is important that they manage to, or that they can keep themselves kind of level and steady. They're trying to win some points, make sure that they can secure Europe as much as they can. So I think that they'll be playing hard here. Brighton not playing hard. They're the team that are right above the drop zone. They seem to have some issues, locker room issues, issues between players, issues between coaches and players. So I'm with West Ham. I think they win this one handily.
I'm kind of the opposite here. I think the collapse is continuing with David Moyes and the club.
Mm.
I think they're going to start free falling in the table a little bit, and I think Brighton's the team to do that. They play a decent style football. They know their identity as a club. They are, I will say, terrible playing at home. Only 3 wins this season, 8 draws, and I'm going to go with the signature draw here for Brighton.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Crystal Palace versus Aston Villa is the next one. This one I see being a draw, which I know may be a strange pick, but it's what I see.
Update in the Liverpool game. Jota just hit the equalizer, so it's 1-1.
Ooh, fancy.
You took a draw in the Villa Palace game.
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna do this for the Mandem. I'm gonna go with the Palace Palace win here. I last week I got baited into picking Palace against who'd they lose to last week? Oh, against Southampton. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was back in Eze and Saha. I think they'll do it this week. Villa are looking a little shaky. I don't, depending on Jack Grealish's minutes. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with a Palace win.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Next one, Tottenham and Wolves. This one could be hairy. I'm gonna go with Tottenham. I don't know why, but something's telling me Tottenham.
I'm gonna go Tottenham as well. I'm gonna gut check them. I think Harry Kane is gonna extend his lead for the Golden Boot. He's gonna make a statement mark here in this game that he still is one of the best strikers in the league. He'll probably score at least 2 goals. Wolves have looked a little shaky. They did make that great comeback against Brighton last week, but I don't see that holding up here against a hungry Spurs side to make European competition.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's fair. And we're in agreement that Tottenham will be the ones to win. Next one, West Brom and Liverpool. Liverpool having some strange palpitations or something like that. Right now against Manchester United, maybe they'll manage to pull off the upset. I don't know. But they're also having palpitations in the table. They're moving up and forth back and forth rapidly, trying their best to stay in that fifth spot. Because they would be the team that gets that extra Champions League spot, as we've discussed. So I think that they still want to win. I think they are more concerned with winning now than they have been all season. So I'm going to say that Liverpool win this game against West Brom.
Yeah, short and sweet. Liverpool win this game. The previous match did end in a 1-1 draw. Surprisingly, big win or big point for West Brom there. But yeah, I don't see that holding up here. They don't. There's going to be nothing to look forward to here. It's going to be a long 90 minutes going up against the speed of Salah and Jota and potentially Mane up top. So not looking good for the Baggies.
Yeah. All right. And the last part of the show for us is Everton and Sheffield United. Everton win this game. I think Sheffield could get relegated from the next division. They are that bad. So
Really?
I'm picking Everton. I actually don't think they're going to even be close to coming up next season. Like, there's no
It,
way.
it's funny because they have 3 games left, and if they lose 2 of those 3 matches, they will be the leader, the first place in most losses in a campaign at 30. They're currently on 28. I think the
Holy
record is
fuck.
29 by Ipswich Town the one year.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely think they'll hold that record. They've had an absolutely one of the worst
They've had a
campaigns
stinker.
ever
I mean, a
in
real
the Premier
stinker.
League. I mean, it's very poor from them, but yeah, I think Everton win this game. It'll be a nice little training session for them.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. That's everything from us this week, guys. I don't know if Matt has anything else to say, but I think I've said my piece about the Premier League. That's all. That's all you're gonna get out of me.
We got NBA playoffs coming up. Should be interesting.
Yep.
The Sixers will lock up that one spot after tonight if they win.
Yeah, hopefully.
Um, Hopefully they can do that. It'll look like they'll eventually play the winner of the Pacers and who's the 10 seed? I think not the Hornets, right? Forget. Hold up. Either way, out in the West should be very interesting because you're going to have the Lakers at a 7 seed, which is scary for the Jazz or Suns, whoever finished in that 2 spot. The Wizards are in that 10 spot right now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to play the Wizards right now.
Me
Those guys are
neither, dude.
scary.
They're absolutely streaking.
You had Russell Westbrook become the all-time leader for triple doubles past Oscar Robinson. So shout out to him. Um, Football, we had the NFL season released. Eagles on paper have the second easy schedule, but after half the team gets hurt, it will be almost impossible to win even a game. So that should be interesting. I think the Cowboys are heavily overrated. Every season, everybody thinks the Cowboys are going to run the table. I don't know why. We don't even know how Dak is going to operate off an absolutely compound fracture
Yeah.
defunct. So I don't
Uh,
know. There's a lot of things coming up here now. We talked about the Euros coming up. There's a lot of international competitions. We'll have the Copa America, the Gold Cup, Euros. We have the Olympics. This summer is going to be absolutely bonkers in sports and other things. So it's very exciting. Sad to see the Premier League coming to an end, but the nice thing about it is it is right around the corner as soon as it finishes early August. So there's gonna be a lot going on with the show, and hopefully you guys stay tuned.
yeah. Yeah, it'll be awesome. I did want to say before we ended this, I saw the story this morning, brought a tear to my eye. It's horrible. 9-year-old Liverpool fan Jordan Banks died tragically on Tuesday after being struck by lightning while playing soccer. This
Fuck.
this winter, he raised $2,300 for a mental health charity in memory of his uncle who committed suicide earlier this year. Um, just terrible stuff, and I mean that part especially touches home. Uh,
Yeah.
my uncle also committed suicide, so really tough, tragic to see somebody die, especially playing the game they love. I mean, it was horrible. I read that this morning. It was the first thing I saw when I woke up, and I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" Um.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um. Thoughts
Yeah.
are with Liverpool
And it-
fans and the community and the family of that poor young kid.
yeah. That's one thing I like about the Premier League. They'll always recognize people like that, and as soon as it happens, that's one thing I love about the Premier League and the
Hmm.
clubs over there. They recognize their fans heavily compared to some organizations over here.
Yeah, the players wore the number 7. Everybody in warm up today, that was his number. So they were all wearing that. I thought
Awesome.
that was really nice. Yeah. Kind of a shitty way to end it, but I did want to bring it up because I just felt like it was worth mentioning. Just that is tragic. I mean, what the fuck? 9 years old, you die getting struck by fucking lightning, man. It's horrible. That is horrible, horrible shit. It makes you question what the fuck, like just what the fuck. But
Yeah.
yeah. Thoughts and prayers with the family of Jordan Banks. But that's it. Sorry to end that on such a terrible note. I don't know. I don't know why I brought that up, but I was scrolling. I have my notes over on my second monitor, and I was scrolling, and that was the one thing that I forgot to bring up. So I didn't want to. I didn't want to not bring it up. I
Yeah, that's fair.
forgot to tell you and your dad that this morning on the course. But yeah.
Yeah, well,
All right.
commiserations to his family and everything.
Mhm.
But if you guys like the content you're seeing or hearing, make sure you guys follow us on all of our platforms: SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you're a visual watcher and you're watching us right now, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
If you made it to this part of the show, you're an absolute baller,
Indeed.
uh, a king on kings.
Yeah.
Uh, hit the red subscribe button, the notification bell right next to it's absolutely free. Let us know what we can improve on. If you guys have any critiques or constructive criticism to say. And then we have our socials at Post20Pod on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want to check out our old content or us live tweeting matches or whatnot during the week or stuff from our daily lives, head on over there and give us a follow. And other than that, thank you guys so much for listening/watching. We'll be back next week with another signature show.
Yeah, can't wait. I'll see you then. And thank you guys all for watching. We will see you then as well. Take care of yourselves and see you later.